Hello. I know it's been a very long time since I've made a video on this channel. I just wanted to offer an update. I I haven't even watched the last video that I posted, but I think my life was in a process of unraveling, which it has been many times throughout my life. Um, that can be attributed to being in a specific chapter that is designed to be a catalyst for my growth and specifically towards my development of my soul and the process of individuation. And so, this is what I've discovered. I started doing Tantra, which is not what people think it is in the Western world. It's not like kinky sex stuff. It's actually a process of hacking your own consciousness through a number of practices that are designed to elicit your attention and focus, which is a complete and total contradiction to the culture in which we are currently residing, which is that our dopaminergic systems are essentially under attack at all times. Social media, for example, is a technology that is designed to manipulate our behavior as well as monitor, document, and essentially data mine everything that we're doing in order to provide predictive analytics for the human capital markets, human futures, which is where all the real money is going right now, into social impact bonds and things that are here to essentially support the upcoming surveillance panopticon that will be linking humans to crypto, digital currency, as well as a digital ID through blockchain technologies, Internet of Bodies, and Internet of Things. But if you're, seeing this video, you already know this, chances are, because you've been watching my channel at least. I did in 2008, and I predicted everything that happened with the lockdowns. All of that happened verbatim in order to usher in the fourth industrial revolution. So that's neither here nor there. Like, who cares? I know. I do think about it. Sometimes I get a little bit freaked out. Like, what am I going to do when, I clearly don't want to be connected to the grid through some type of brain interface transplant or technology. Like, that's not what I'm interested in doing. I don't want to give anyone, let alone an AI or machine learning apparatus, access to my consciousness, especially since I'm working so hard to cleave from what in not common parlance is known as the profane. Essentially, like the masses, like people who don't understand what this reality is and how you can actually transcend different layers of consciousness using the experiences that we are essentially contracted to go through here, through the laws of karma, which is just another kind of like a mechanical, it's like a advanced technology is all it is. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Like, this is the human condition. We are constantly battling external forces because of the elemental disharmony that exists within us. And until we get right in ourselves and align with the proper perception of truth, we are always going to be perceiving external threats. So I have personally done what I can to essentially remove myself from the influence of those things. They are happening. It's a background program. Certainly it is. There's not much I can do about it, but I'm not going to feed into it with my consciousness. Maybe making this video is like contradictory to that, but essentially the point is that we are co-creating things in our world, and if you're not actively participating in the creation of your own destiny in your own life, then by default you're passively consuming and reinforcing the creations of others. You can think of this as celestial beings that are orbiting spheres of influence, like suns. Planets orbit suns. Moons, lunar beings orbit planets. So you have to decide, are you going to be orbiting someone else in their universe, or are you going to be creating your own universe and being beholden to no one? So I know that these are perhaps some philosophical questions that you might not have heard when I first started this channel, because I was a very dogmatic, I guess, hardcore Christian, and that was a foundation for my transition into Gnosticism, which is an elucidation on what the Christian faith is about. The teachings there have essentially are incomplete, and Gnosticism provides one with a more thorough perspective of the situation. Now, there's also an element of misinterpretation there as well, which is why it's important to develop what is known as Gnosis, and that's your own personal relationship with the divine forces that allows you to actually interpret and intuit these teachings and levels of truths without relying on any external factors. But it's certainly not possible if you're not engaged in any type of spiritual sadhana or practice, prayer, meditation, and that's just like the most basic thing that you could do. Any devotional practice, as well as cutting off influences that are not serving you, and also removing any type of content from your life that is draining you of your vitality, your consciousness, and your energy. And that includes pornography, probably the biggest one that is destroying men all over America. Now we have, all of this different social media that's very image oriented. TikTok, which is essentially destroying our culture from the inside out and influencing very young minds and hacking their dopaminergic systems before they've even developed any level of impulse control. So these are all things that should be consciously determined and decided upon in order to connect with the divine. I think I'm about to reach the 10-minute mark, so I'll start updating a little bit more, just sharing what I've learned as the divine guides me.